Imagine a city of unimaginable wealth, a sprawling metropolis with walls so thick they were said to be impenetrable. A city ruled by a king who saw himself as a god, a city named Babylon. For centuries, it was the jewel of the ancient world, the heart of an empire that stretched across the Near East. But in one single fateful night in 539 BC, it all came crashing down. How? How did the greatest city on earth fall without a single siege engine battering its walls, without a single major battle being fought for its gates? This is the story of the fall of Babylon, a tale of prophecy, politics, and a river that held the key to an empire's doom. For nearly a century, the Neo-Babylonian Empire had been the dominant power in the region. Its most famous king, Nebuchadnezzar II, had transformed Babylon into a wonder of the world. He built the legendary Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and the magnificent Ishtar Gate, covered in brilliant blue-glazed bricks depicting lions and dragons. The city's defenses were legendary: a double wall system, moats fed by the mighty Euphrates River, and massive bronze gates. To any observer, Babylon was the very definition of eternal. But empires, like men, have their seasons, and Babylon's winter was coming. After Nebuchadnezzar's death, a series of less capable rulers took the throne. The empire began to show cracks. Then came Nabonidus. He was an unusual king, to say the least. While his predecessors had honored Marduk, the patron god of Babylon, Nabonidus was a devoted follower of the moon god, Sin. He spent years, even a decade, away from Babylon in the Arabian oasis of Tema, leaving his son, Belshazzar, to rule in his place. This religious devotion alienated the powerful and influential priesthood of Marduk in Babylon. They felt neglected, their god slighted. A deep resentment began to fester within the city's elite, creating a powder keg of political and religious tension just waiting for a spark. And that spark was named Cyrus, Cyrus the Great, king of the Persians. He was a brilliant military strategist and a master of propaganda. He had been sweeping across the Near East, consolidating a new and powerful Achaemenid empire. As Cyrus's armies marched, they didn't just conquer, they liberated. He presented himself not as a foreign invader, but as a restorer of traditions and a champion of the people. While Nabonidus was alienating his own subjects, Cyrus was winning hearts and minds before his army even arrived. He knew the internal divisions within Babylon were his greatest weapon. The stage was set for one of history's most audacious military maneuvers. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus tells us the story. As the Persian army approached Babylon, the Babylonians, confident in their impenetrable walls and vast food supplies, simply locked the gates and prepared for a long siege. Some accounts say they even mocked the Persian forces from atop the walls. They believed they could outlast any army. But Cyrus had no intention of a conventional siege. He had a plan so clever, so daring, it was almost unbelievable. His eyes were on the one feature that both protected and ultimately doomed the city: the Euphrates River. The river flowed directly through the center of Babylon, passing under its massive walls through grates. Cyrus knew that if he could somehow lower the river's level, his army could simply walk into the city. So upstream, he put his engineers to work. They dug a massive canal, a basin to divert the entire flow of the Euphrates. The plan was timed to perfection, set to unfold during a great religious festival in the city. While the Babylonians, including the regent Belshazzar, were distracted by feasting and celebration, Cyrus's men breached the banks of the Euphrates and the water began to drain away into the newly dug basin. Inside the city, the party was in full swing. The biblical book of Daniel describes a scene of sacrilege and arrogance: Belshazzar's feast. The regent, feeling secure, used sacred vessels looted from the temple in Jerusalem to toast his pagan gods. It was at this moment, the story goes, that a disembodied hand appeared and wrote a cryptic message on the palace wall. "Men, Men, Tekel, Upharsin. Terrified, Belshazzar called for his wise men, but none could interpret the writing. Finally, the prophet Daniel was brought forth. He declared the message was a divine judgment. God had numbered the days of Belshazzar's kingdom and finished it. It had been weighed in the balances and found wanting. His kingdom was to be divided and given to the Medes and Persians. As Daniel spoke these words of doom, the water level of the Euphrates outside had dropped. It became a shallow stream, barely waist deep. Under the cover of darkness, the Persian soldiers crept down the riverbed, slipped under the walls, through the grates, and entered the city. They faced little to no resistance. The Babylonian soldiers were either drunk from the festival or taken completely by surprise. The Persians fanned out, opening the city's main gates from the inside to let the rest of their army pour in. Belshazzar was killed, and by morning the mighty city of Babylon had fallen without a fight. When Cyrus the Great entered Babylon, he wasn't met as a conqueror, but as a liberator. The disgruntled priests of Marduk welcomed him. He played the part perfectly, performing the traditional rites for Marduk and declaring himself the legitimate successor to the Babylonian throne. His famous Cyrus cylinder, an ancient clay artifact, records his victory. In it, he portrays himself as chosen by Marduk to restore order. He repatriated displaced peoples, including the Jews who had been exiled in Babylon, and allowed them to return to their homeland and rebuild their temple. This act of tolerance and clemency was revolutionary for its time and cemented his legacy as a just and wise ruler. The fall of Babylon wasn't just the end of a city, it was the end of an era. It marked the end of Mesopotamian dominance in the ancient world, a civilization that had thrived for millennia. The power shifted from the Semitic peoples of Mesopotamia to the Indo-European Persians. This event reshaped the political and cultural map of the ancient world, paving the way for the rise of Persia, and later, the clash of civilizations between Greece and Persia that would define the next century. Babylon itself, though it remained an important city for a time, began a slow decline, its glory fading into the dust of history, leaving behind a powerful legacy and a timeless lesson that no wall is truly impenetrable and that pride, division, and arrogance can bring down even the mightiest of empires from within. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Let us know in the comments which ancient empires fall you'd like us to explore next. Until then, stay curious.